All right, I now call to order the May 13th, 2025 Board of Trustees regular meeting, time being 6:30 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Ms. Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Cannon.
Here.
Trustee Daly.
Present.
Trustee Moyer.
Here.
Trustee Teets. Here. Trustee Wiegand.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mason.
Here.
Mayor Shosse. Mayor Pro Tem, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. Any amendments to the agenda this evening? Seeing none. Any conflicts of interest this evening? Seeing none. Okay, we've got a couple of proclamations to get started with here this evening, so I'll go ahead and start with the first one being Kids to Parks. Mental Health Awareness Month here first. Whereas mental health is a vital part of individual and community well-being and life's challenges, including trauma, grief, discrimination, financial insecurity, and health concerns, affect people in different ways across all backgrounds, identities, and experiences. And whereas raising awareness, fostering open conversations, and promoting access to culturally responsive, trauma-informed mental health resources can help reduce the burden of mental health conditions and support healing for all individuals. And whereas the town of Wellington strives to be a welcoming and compassionate and resilient community where every person feels seen, heard, and supported in their mental wellness journey. And whereas reducing stigma, increasing equity in access to behavioral health services, and strengthening partnerships across sectors are essential to improving lives and promoting the dignity and potential of every resident. And whereas businesses, schools, faith organizations, government agencies, healthcare providers, and community members each play a role in cultivating a culture that prioritizes mental health, prevents substance use disorders, and supports overall well-being. Now, therefore, I, Brian Mason, Mayor Pro Tem of the town of Wellington, Colorado, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Mental Health Awareness Month. Let us recognize that mental health is a fundamental aspect of a thriving, inclusive, and healthy community, essential to living a life of joy, dignity, and purpose. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town of Wellington to be affixed this 13th day of May, 2025. And Trustee Wiegand will be accepting this on behalf of the town as well as the Larimer County Behavioral Health Center.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, up next, we've got a proclamation for Kids to Parks Day. Whereas May 17th, 2025 is the 15th Kids to Parks Day organized and implemented by the National Park Trust held annually on the third Saturday of May. And whereas Kids to Parks Day empowers kids and encourages families to get outdoors and visit local parks, public lands, and waters. And whereas Kids to Parks Day will broaden children's appreciation for nature and the outdoors. And whereas Kids to Parks Day will recognize the importance of recreating responsibly while enjoying the benefits of the outdoors. And whereas Kids to Parks Day will foster future outdoor enthusiasts and help with developing the next generation of park stewards by engaging kids with memorable outdoor experiences. Now, therefore, I, Brian Mason, Mayor Pro Tem of the town of Wellington, Colorado, do hereby proclaim May 17th, 2025 as Kids to Parks Day in the town of Wellington and urge all fellow citizens to celebrate our community's youth and nature by going outdoors. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town of Wellington to be affixed this 13th day of May, 2025. And we have Director Cooksey from our Parks and Recreation team here with us tonight to accept the proclamation. Oh, as well as Trustee Daly, I apologize. Okay, now is the time for public comment. Members of the public who wish to comment on non-agenda items, please sign in on the sheet behind the podium and state your name clearly into the microphone. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to provide comments.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and trustees. Lisa Cholet, Wellington Downs, here in Wellington. I'm a firm believer in public thank yous and public apologies. So first I want to start with a thank you, which is to the Wellington Chamber of Commerce for what they're doing for our first graduating class at Wellington Middle High School. And I am proud to have one of those students who will have a Walk of Fame card. And so I think it's important to say thank you that different areas of our town invest in our high school because that community connection is essential for our students. I also have a public apology to Trustee Cannon because I was a little tough on you at our work session meeting. And so I want to apologize. I may have assumed things that I shouldn't have assumed. But I would like to offer a little bit of an explanation to that. For those that don't know, I'm on the third resident rate roundtable, whatever it's called this time around, I don't remember. But in the past, I was caught off guard that it was a work session. My fault. I was told before and I forgot. But those meetings have always been just the people on the roundtable plus the consultant and if there's a mediator. And so I kind of was speaking my mind in a way that wasn't very cognizant of public view. And to that end, I think it's important. I don't know what the plan is moving forward, but I think it's important that it remain the way it's always been for the last 2 times. It's an important opportunity for residents to come together to work among themselves to find common values that then inform what the rate structure should look like, not the money, just the structure that represents the values of the community. And that's really hard to do when you know you're on camera or people are watching you or things of that nature. And I guess fortunately or unfortunately for me, I forgot that we were in a public work session, but kind of to that end, you know, I think it's important and I'm excited for this 3rd round. And I think we've learned a lot. I'm the only one from the original one that's still on this. So I think we've made a lot of growth and I'm excited for the opportunity and I'm glad that you guys are still doing it. But I did want to apologize to you and kind of offer my explanation as I forgot that it wasn't a private closed meeting like it's always been. So with that, thank you. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Cholet. Any other public comments this evening? Seeing none. Okay, we'll move into the first. Sure, yeah, please.
Lisa, I am so happy you're on that board. There was no offense at all. I didn't feel it. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it. So I'm just happy that you're here for the 3rd time around on that board. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Cannon. Okay, we'll roll into the first item on the main agenda here this evening. We've got a presentation of the PROST Master Plan and Community Center Feasibility Kickoff presentation. Billy Cooksey, the Parks and Recreation Manager, will present this item.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and trustee members. Billy Cooksey, Manager of the Parks and Recreation Department. Today, we are pleased to welcome Ryan Hegreness from Barry Dunn, who will lead us through the kickoff presentation for the PROST Master Plan and Community Center Feasibility Study. Ryan is the Senior Consultant with Barry Dunn and one of the 2 leads on this project. We will provide an overview of the project scope, objectives, key components, and strategic importance of the planning efforts. His insight will guide us as we embark on this comprehensive initiative to shape our future of our parks and recreation resources. The presentation can be found on page 7 to 22 of the board packet, and after its completion, we can stand for questions. So please join me in welcoming Ryan.
Good evening, trustees. It's a pleasure to be with you and talk a little bit about the process that we'll be going through with your community over the next year. As Billy mentioned, my name is Ryan Hegreness, Senior Consultant with Barry Dunn, and bring up our agenda here. The first item on the agenda, make sure the clicker is clicking, or maybe you can help me from over there. Thank you. Is introduction. So just a little bit about myself and our team on this project. I'm a park and recreation professional. I grew up in the field. My parents were both park and recreation professionals. And most of our team that's working on this project, we aren't consultants first. We've been in shoes such as Billy's, doing this work firsthand. I've been privileged over the last 10 years to be here in Colorado, in the Westminster area, working in a variety of park and recreation roles before moving into consulting. And Jason, the project manager on this project, is just down the road in Windsor, Colorado. And our other project members on our project team are also from the area. So in addition to Barry Dunn and partnering with you here in Wellington, we have Barker Reeker CCAT that will be helping us with the recreation or community center feasibility study. They're officed out of Denver. RVI from a landscape architecture standpoint and providing some kind of design input and guidance into the plan. And their office is down the road in Fort Collins. And then ETC for the statistically valid survey, and they work with communities all over the country. So we're really excited to be working with you on this project. And so today, this evening, we'll go through just a quick overview of the project and mostly want to hear if there are any questions that you have for us as we move into the project. So first of all, just in terms of our planning process, this is a very collaborative process, and it's been fantastic getting to know your staff just here in the early stages in your community, and there'll be a lot more of that as we proceed. You'll see us here in the community meeting regularly with your team and with your community members. And we want this to be our process. We don't come in with a set process that we run through. We want to customize our approach in terms of how we engage with you and what we provide for you to the needs of the community. I mentioned already that our team has been in these park and recreation shoes, local government shoes, brings that real world experience. And we want to provide a living document, not something that's going to sit on the shelf, but something that Billy and his team can reference frequently. When we conclude the planning process, we don't just leave you with the plan, we also conduct an implementation workshop and talk with staff about, okay, how do we take this from a plan to actionable steps over the next 18 months? And that's something that we pride ourselves in the work that we provide. So the project itself, there are several different phases that we will go through in this project. But just a few key components to the approach that we're taking. First, we want this to be a framework guiding the future, representing a unified vision. So we want to make sure we're hearing from everyone in your community and that this plan represents all of that input. Integrating with previous plans and making sure that there's alignment, that this isn't a standalone document, but it integrates with the overall direction that Wellington is going. Considering all community members, and I already mentioned wanting this to be something that is actionable and that helps guide future decisions of the department. From a timing standpoint, you'll see on the screen here what we are proposing as our project approach and time frame. And this we will largely stick to, but there's some flexibility there. So if we need to spend a little bit of additional time, maybe in the visioning process with the park board or something comes up, it's adaptable as well. And so we will work with you on that. But we're anticipating this taking roughly a year from when this was initiated. A lot of that time will be spent in our community engagement, this needs analysis phase, at needs assessment, I should say, and then also the analysis phase. And I'll talk through each of these phases here in a moment and share a little bit more about what those are about. So our first phase is discovery and review. We're in this phase right now, collecting documents, existing plans, just all of the background information, demographic information that we need heading into the process. And then we're also working now in this needs assessment phase. The first thing we do is develop an engagement strategy for your community. Who do we need to hear from? How do we meet people where they are? We don't expect people to necessarily show up to a public meeting to provide input, but we want to be at your events. We want to partner with local businesses. We will have a website where people can visit 24/7 to get updates or to provide input, participate in surveys and things like that. So we'll be developing that strategy along with the town staff. And then through that also, we will be doing some assessment of the community. Level of service is a term that we use. We'll be assessing the current parks, amenities, things that are offered, what is their condition, and what is your community's access to various amenities. So are there areas in your community that maybe are lacking access to particular features? So as you're planning for the future, you can integrate those. That also leads, I have a slide here, I forgot to mention this. We also like to make sure that this is very creative and customized. So we will have fun with your team developing some branding and some innovative ways to engage with your community, a variety of approaches. You see some of the more creative ones here where we have a public board where people can provide input on a trailer that was traveling around a community. We've done things, you see a television star there from the television show Parks and Recreation doing a cameo video for a project on social media. So we like to work with your team to find out what will resonate, what are ways that we can get people interested beyond putting something on social media. We'll be out in the community along the trails, engaging with people in parks, at public events with tables, and also having focus groups. So if people are interested in a particular topic, there'll be opportunities to sit down around a table or even virtually if desired to provide input in that way. We'll also be doing an analysis, a visitation analysis of your parks and facilities. And so we work with a third-party tool called Placer AI. You may be familiar with that, but that gives us some really interesting insights into the utilization of your parks. What are the peak visitation times? How many people are visiting annually? And then some interesting insights. Where are people coming from within your community or from outside of your community, and where are they going afterwards? So there are a lot of different ways that information can be useful, both from park planning or even from, we've had communities utilize this information to reach out to new event partners or potential sponsors and things like that as well. So we look forward to providing that insight. Another part of this analysis phase is what we call a gap analysis. We'll be looking at, and you see an example on here of a larger community, but we will be looking at your amenities that you offer the community and what's available within a 10-minute walk. What types of barriers exist, whether that's distance, whether that's a roadway or things like that, that are preventing neighborhoods, individuals to having access, convenient access to parks and recreation. So this also helps in future planning processes of identifying maybe where there are unmet needs in the community and where some additional amenities or opportunities can be provided. We'll also be looking at the programs that you currently offer and providing some insights there based on current trends in the industry, what some of the data tells us our needs in this area, and also based on the community input that we receive. So through this statistically valid survey, as well as the open-ended community input, we want to see how what you're currently offering aligns with what the community's desires are and how that might shape the future of programming. And so there are a variety of ways that we'll be presenting that information for future decision-making. So that's those first several months, 6 months even of this process is really collecting information, collecting data. And then that leads us into these final 3 phases, which is now that we have this information, working with staff, working with your board, identifying what are the priorities, connecting dots between needs the community has identified and potential opportunities. So we can take this information and turn it into some prioritized action items and ultimately turning this into a master plan. Concurrent with this, of course, will also be the feasibility analysis for a community center. That same information feeding into that and having conversations around what is the programming of that community center based on those needs, what types of amenities are needed, how much space, and looking at what does that cost, and not only for potential construction, but also operational costs. And that will be happening through that process as well. All of that feeds into a final plan that we bring to you for your review and ultimate approval, and then taking that next step with your staff and working on that implementation process and where that goes from a plan to implementation in the community. Here's an example on this slide. I know some of this may be hard to see on the screen, but hopefully easier to review on your laptop, of some different ways that we have presented some of those action items in various planning processes. So we'll be working with your staff and team to identify how do we tie this to maybe existing town priorities or specific community needs, and provide this in a way that helps guide your future decision making. So identifying actions in this plan and how this meets a community need or ties in with priorities you've already established in other planning documents. So that brings us to the conclusion of my quick overview. Are there any questions that you have for me or input that you would like us to take now in the early stages of this process?
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Hegreness. As far as questions from the board go, we can start with Trustee Teets.
I don't have any. This is awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing all the data that comes back from this.
Wonderful, thank you.
Trustee Cannon.
Thank you, and I'm excited that we're doing this park survey. It's going to help us put these amenities to our residents and make it available. I do have a question, because I've worked with a lot of municipalities and parks and so forth. Do you have like a national standard or a standard of the park sizes, locations, and the amenities that you use as a model, and then compare that to what Wellington has, or is that?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So we use data from the National Park and Recreation Association, and they have a database of communities across the country that self-report everything from the number of parks to the number of staff to their budgets. It's quite detailed, but it is self-reported data, but we will use that. We can provide both kind of a national benchmark perspective, but what's often more helpful is we will look to boil that down. Comparing yourself to like Miami or Baltimore or something isn't very practical. So oftentimes we would look at communities of similar size. So that may be communities with a population under 20,000, and we'll work with your staff to identify what that number is, or even regionally. So within a certain population region of the country, and we can pull a subset of that data and provide some of those benchmarks. I think the important thing to note on those, though, is every community is different. So there's no one size fits all. And so there's, different communities are in different phases of their kind of growth pattern too. So we're working with a community now where it looks like they're kind of way, kind of at the top end of investment on the capital side of things compared to who they're benchmarked with, but they're a newer growing community that's putting in a lot of their initial infrastructure now. So part of what we do is provide some of that kind of narrative and perspective for that benchmarking data as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Cannon. Trustee Moyer.
Yes, thank you so much for your partnership on this. It is very exciting. It's the year of the master plan for Wellington, so thank you for being a part of that. I love the focus on community engagement. I really hope that the community takes advantage of this opportunity to come out to these different events, partake in the survey, and really get your thoughts out there, because this is for you. There are other organizations in the town working on connectivity, and so I look forward to seeing how all these groups can come together and figure that out for the town. And I'm particularly excited about the community center study. Trustee Daly and I took part in a table exercise with LCSO and the fire department and PSD, and it became very apparent that had we had many more people in the room, we wouldn't have had space for them. And so this town is in dire need of meeting space to come together. And so I'm excited to see what that brings in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Moyer. Trustee Wiegand.
I appreciate your presentation. I have been to one of your towns that you guys have done, New Braunfels in Texas,
Oh, yes.
and it is awesome. I mean, the park system, I believe, is what draws that whole San Antonio area up there. And I mean, it can be one heck of a tourist attraction for us too. So you guys did a phenomenal job down there. I know you got the river going through the town. I know we don't have that, but just the way you incorporated everything,
Thank
it's
you.
just beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Wiegand. Trustee Davy.
I'm the liaison to the PROST group. I know you've had some interactions with them already. So Parks, Recreation, Open Space, and Trails. I'm very excited for this in general. This has been long due for us, and I feel like a lot of our plans, especially within that group, have kind of been put on hold as to what's the plan, though. We can't do this and that without knowing what the overall plan is. So I'm really looking forward to being able to activate. That's what's most important to me. I also know that that group is very close to and has been gathering information throughout the community for years and years at this point. They have a comprehensive list of things that they've determined are major or minor improvements that are necessary for our town based off feedback they've received from the community and their personal experiences. All of them are advocates and avid recreators. So I think that they have a lot of valuable information to share, and we should definitely, as we're gathering information, make sure that we consider, the work and time that they put into creating this list and understanding priorities within the town too. They're really close to it. So, and I know they're all eager to participate regardless, but I think some of those resources that they've developed are something you should definitely utilize. So I'm really just excited about this. The community center thing is something I've been really supportive of and hopeful. I can't wait to see if it's viable. I know that our community has been begging for so many different amenities and options, and a community center kind of could potentially accommodate many of those needs, well beyond a gym and those kind of things, or a pool, or it could be a library, it could be office space, event space, who knows what it might be. And I can't wait to see what the community might say of what their priorities are. So I'm really excited to hear about that too. I have a sense, but I can't wait to see exactly what the outcomes are. The other question I had is around Tracer AI. I know our Main Streets program was looking into maybe incorporating that data. I know the town has been considering those kind of things. When you're reporting out on the Tracer AI, is it going to be limited only to the scope and a report in which you guys provide us, or will we have access directly to that data?
So good question. I would want to double check in terms of so you would have access to any of the reports that we generate. And of course we can look at any number of different things that I don't believe you would have like open access to the system itself to like use that in the future.
Right.
But we, as part of this planning process, want to make sure we provide as much actionable insights as we can and provide you with those reports. A lot of that will be captured in deliverables that we provide that may not necessarily be part of the plan, but would be attached to the appendix. We know most people don't want a several hundred-page plan. They want it concise but you would have all of that information in the appendices of that document.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. And just to give context of that is, this is a town based on events. People love to come together. 4th of July is the biggest thing that we do. People love to be together and do events. So, and all those events occur in parks usually.
Right.
So there's definitely a correlation there. And then the other part of that is these amenities, parks, recreation, those build economy as well, right?
Right.
And so that's one of our major focuses in addition to meeting the requirements and needs of our residents. But that Tracer AI information could be really beneficial associated with events in parks as to how the people who attend our events then contribute to our economy from sales tax perspective. That's what I personally would be interested out of that data. And I know it's not necessarily you guys are approving sales tax, but I really want to know what people do in and around recreation and park time. And I think that would be very telling to us, and then understanding what kind of investment is necessary, knowing what the payoff might be associated with just sales tax
Sure.
potential.
And the other thing I'll mention on Placer AI is that it's not just a point in time, like look at this year while we're doing this study.
Right.
While you wouldn't have access in the future, we actually have, I believe, up to 8 years that we can look back. So you'll have a multi-year trend of events, or you'll see the pandemic impacts a few years ago in that data, or other maybe things that have happened in your community specifically. You will see that kind of multi-year look back of that data. So that should be helpful.
That is so cool. And sorry, I keep saying Tracer, but Placer. Thank you.
No problem.
Very much on that, but I'm really looking forward to this. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Trustee Daly. And actually, Trustee Daly had a lot of the same questions I had regarding Placer AI, so really appreciate the explanations on that. And I just want to say thank you, Mr. Hegreness, for coming down tonight, and appreciate Barry Dunn's partnership in this. Obviously, this is very important to our community. I do want to encourage the community as these surveys come down the pipe to please do participate in those. We definitely want every resident's feedback as much as we possibly can get. So with that, thank you for the presentation, and Mr. Cooksey, appreciate you guys being here. So
Thank you. We look forward to spending more time with you.
okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Ms. Clerk, can you please read the title of the items on the consent agenda?
April 22nd, 2025 meeting minutes. And that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. Do I hear a motion on the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Ms. Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Cannon,
Since I wasn't here, I will abstain.
Trustee Daly,
Yes.
Trustee Moyer,
Yes.
Trustee Teets,
I was not here, but I'm not aware we're supposed to abstain. Can I get clarification on that one?
It's preferred not to abstain. A vote on the minutes is a vote that you have read the minutes and that you believe that the clerk properly transcribed them. It's not necessarily a vote on you were at the meeting or not. So
Perfect.
abstention usually isn't appropriate, but it's okay.
Yes.
Trustee Wiegand,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mason.
Yes.
Mayor, that motion passes.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. Okay, moving on to action items this evening. Ms. Clerk, please go ahead and read the title for item E1.
Resolution number 20-2025, a resolution in support of a T-Mobile hometown grant application for the Veterans Garden Project.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. Deputy Town Administrator Kelly Houghteling will present on this item.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and trustees. Before you tonight is a resolution to support the Veterans Garden at Wellington Community Park and the application for the T-Mobile grant for that. The specific location of where that would be located is just north of the dog park on the east side of the trail. There's some good access from the trail, and it's accessible to get over there, and that's the area that staff has identified. I know that was not included in the packet, but that's specifically where that would be located. The design is included in your packet tonight. There's a U.S. flag and one flag for each branch of the military, 6 benches and a walkway is what's being proposed. Staff is still working on the rough cost, the estimate right now. It really depends, but we want to get this grant launched and going and seek that $50,000. So right now the cost estimate is between $50,000 and $65,000. So of course we will come back to if we receive the grant, if we don't. So we're still working through a lot of those details, but that includes things like construction, concrete, electrical, irrigation, not to mention the benches and the flagpoles, et cetera. So that's a rough estimate of that. And I know I did include this in the packet, but the PROST board has been champions of this project. They did identify that in their 2023 work plan. Last year, if you remember, at 4th of July, there was a silent auction. There was a donation page that has been up on our website for the last year since that launch. And I will say that if the board approves this application tonight, we plan to put out a press release to talk about that we're seeking this grant application, all the work that's been going in over the last year for that. So the PROST board has been working very hard to make this happen. So we're hopeful that this grant will be something that we are able to get. And there's no match for that $50,000 grant. And let me see if Oh, and flyers will hopefully soon be going up around town to direct people where they can donate for this project too. So I think PROST has a meeting tomorrow night and they'll be talking about that. Did I miss anything? Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Houghteling. Trustee Teets?
I do have a question on the wall that is going up. Is it going to be like a solid concrete wall? Is it going to be a brick wall? Is there going to be in memory of names?
Billy's coming.
Sorry.
They've been working on it today, so.
Yeah, we've actively been working on that. Originally, the design did not have a wall, and it was brought to the attention by multiple PROST members that how it would look neat as kind of a backdrop for the setting overlooking the Box Elder Creek. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's going to happen, only because of the amount of feet. Well, basically the drop that has to happen for code. So if we raise that wall up, by the time we get the correct slope coming off of the back of that, we will be impeding into the floodplain. So unfortunately, we're still working with town engineer to make sure that we can't, but the initial prognosis as of yesterday and today is it might not be possible unless we really shrink the size of the overall facility itself. And we really don't want to do that because we do want to have enough space for people to be able to gather, not just to have a gardens area. We want to be able to use it for programming and also to give enough space for people to feel comfortable, not so close together. So that will also be presented at PROST tomorrow. So I wish I had like 100% firm answer for you, but unfortunately it looks like we might not be able to engineer it with that wall on it.
Got it. Could you have a wall leading up to it and leading away from
And
it?
that's what we'll talk about is maybe just a slight redesign, but it had been in the PROST's mind to not have any wall for the longest time, you know. I think this project has been around for 2.5, maybe 3 years, a little bit on paper, but the idea of it has been, you know, something that's been around for, I believe, 5, 6, 7 years. We finally found the space for it, and now that we do, we just kind of have to fit it based on what it is. But we could take that directive, or not necessarily directive, just the idea, and I can present that to PROST.
I would absolutely love to know, because if you guys do any donated brick or sponsorship kind of things for the wall where you
Yep.
can put in memory of for service members lost, I think that would be an awesome outreach for the community.
Yeah, we would put we wanted to put plaques there
Mhm.
under each branch of the service and kind of, you know, whatever needed to be on there to commemorate that branch of service. There are other ways, you know, you can do the 45-degree angle underneath the flag for the service, but we do have the idea of having memorial benches in there that are donated or paid for by donations. So someone could have a plaque there, but a wall would also be an interesting idea.
Awesome. Thanks. That's all.
Thank you, Trustee Teets. Trustee Cannon?
I think it's just a wonderful idea. You know, as a retired Air Force veteran, I would love to see this come to fruition. I hope we get the grant. Other communities that I've worked at that put together something similar sold bricks, you know, where you could, and I could see myself buying a brick for this thing and just my name, my rank, my service, you know, not in memoriam necessarily, but just as a way to celebrate people who served their nation.
That has been considered. We don't necessarily want to put that in the original design with the concrete, only for maintenance purposes, because bricks heave, especially down in that creek area. But that could be something that we added as a feature to not necessarily the main gathering area, but somewhere people could then donate and put a brick and have their memorial down there. Yeah.
Thank you, Trustee Cannon. Trustee Moyer?
I'm excited about this too. I think it's really beautiful and such a nice gesture to our veterans. Is that the cannon from Centennial Park?
Yes, was in the original design, but since it was redesigned to have the American flag in the center as you walk up, that will probably be changed from that design, and the cannon won't be part of the memorial or the Veterans Garden, I should say.
So you're gonna leave. It will stay in Centennial Park for now then?
Time being.
Okay. Just curious.
Thank you, Trustee Moyer. Trustee Wiegand?
Appreciate this. I think this is a no-brainer. We definitely need to support the military and the past people that served. And, you know, every every community needs something like this, so definitely for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Wiegand. Trustee Daly.
I am super passionate about this project, not just from my experiences with PROST and seeing their passion as well for it, and just working on it for years and years and hoping it comes to fruition. Things are moving this year. It's very exciting. I do want to note that this project very much aligns with our strategic plan, talking about aligning needs and vision for community spaces. Oh, community center is also on there. We already talked about that. But revitalize and invest in meeting and gathering spaces and increasing revenues for town facilities. So I think this meets definitely a requirement of our strategic plan, not to mention it's a wonderful, wonderful ode to all of our veterans as well. Just to give you some insight as well from the conversations from PROST, this is just a jumping off point, right? This is a major, it's a memorial in a sense. But the hope is that this can initiate, a lot of other pieces in the same gathering space, maybe an amphitheater, maybe growing to other amenities that might serve our community in the community park. Those aren't plans and set or anything in place, but I just want you to know that that PROST group is really thinking vision into the future of how they can serve and bring people together, and then also celebrate veterans. So I'm really excited for this, and the fact that we found a grant that could participate and support it is amazing. So I'm 100% in support of the project itself and applying for the grant.
Awesome. Thank you, Trustee Daly. Mr. Cooksey, Ms. Houghteling, really appreciate this. $50,000 for this would go quite a long way, and not having to match on that is pretty incredible. I think we've got a very good shot at it. Ms. Houghteling, you've proven to be an incredible grant writer as far as that goes. So I think we're set up for success here. Myself being a Marine Corps veteran as well as Trustee Cannon's Air Force history, this is something that definitely hits close to home for me, and especially our veteran community. Really want to make sure that we recognize our past as well as the future of veterans in our town. So I'll go ahead and open it up for public comment on this. If any any resident wishes to speak on this item, please come up and fill out the sheet here. Seeing none, does the board have any further deliberation on this item? Seeing none, do I hear a motion on this item?
I move to adopt resolution number 20-2025, a resolution in support of a T-Mobile hometown grant application for the Veterans Garden project, and authorize the town staff to submit the application.
Second.
Ms. Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Cannon?
Yes.
Trustee Daly?
Yes.
Trustee Moyer?
Yes.
Trustee Teets?
Yes.
Trustee Wiegand?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mason?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, that motion passes.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. And I do want to encourage any resident that would like to participate in donating. As far as that goes, please go visit the town website. There is a link on there to donate. So if I would encourage anybody that wants to participate, please do go ahead and donate to that project. Moving on, Ms. Clerk, can you please read the title of item E2?
Resolution number 21-2025, a resolution appointing a liaison to the Upper Front Range Transportation Planning Council.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. And Administrator Garcia will be presenting on this item.
Good evening, Mayor and Trustees. Patty Garcia, Town Administrator. So this agenda item is to formally appoint a Board of Trustee liaison to be a voting member of the Upper Front Range Transportation Planning Council. Over the last, since I've been here and probably before me, staff has been attending those meetings, and we have not had anyone to really formally vote on our behalf. I attended a meeting. Generally, the meetings are held like in Fort Morgan and things like that, and so I just attend by Zoom and never really see who's all in the room. But I attended one in person. It was in Fort Collins recently, and I realized that we were missing out on having a formal representation. at those meetings. So checked into their bylaws and saw that there was an opportunity to appoint a liaison, a voting liaison from the Board of Trustees. The town of Wellington has been a participant of the TPR since 1993. There's a total of 19 municipalities in Weld and Larimer counties that are participants in the TPR. So knowing how important regional transportation is to our community and to this board, I brought it to Mayor Shosey's attention. He recommended to appoint Mayor Pro Tem Mason as the voting liaison at this time. Meetings are held quarterly. They're held the first Thursday of the month, so we'll be coming up on one soon, June 5th. Staff will still be attending and will be supporting the voting liaison to provide information and background information as needed on projects that we know that are currently being worked on.
Thank you, Administrator Garcia. Are there any questions from the board on this? We'll go with Trustee Teets.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Trustee Teets. Trustee Cannon.
I've served on 2 TPRs,
Mhm.
and I think Brian Mason would be an excellent choice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Cannon. Trustee Moyer.
No questions. I think he'll make a great representative.
Thank you, Trustee Moyer. Trustee Wiegand.
Same comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Wiegand. Trustee Daly.
Thank you for finding this opportunity, and I agree with sentiments of all. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Daly. Well, certainly as far as the other boards and commissions I sit on, I certainly take all of these things very seriously, and I very much look forward to participating as liaison in this regard. A lot of these things, if I got to take PTO to do it, I'll take PTO to do it. So I love doing these types of things. That's the name of the game. So really, as far as that goes, we'll go ahead and open it up for public comment on this item. Seeing none, do I hear a motion on this item?
I move to approve resolution number 21-2025, a resolution appointing a liaison to the Upper Front Range Transportation Planning Council.
I second.
Ms. Clerk, can you please call a roll?
Trustee Cannon,
Yes.
Trustee Daly,
We need to indicate who that person is in that motion.
Pardon me?
It's in the resolution.
Okay. Yes.
Trustee Moyer,
Yes.
Trustee Teets,
Yes.
Trustee Wiegand,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mason,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, that motion passes.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to, let's see, next item here. What do I have? Do I have this misnumbered? Nope. Okay. Ms. Clerk, can you please read the title of item E3?
Ordinance number 09-2025, an ordinance amending Article 12 of Chapter 2 of the Wellington Municipal Code.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. And Ms. Clerk, you'll be presenting on this, it looks like, as well.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I will, and if it's all right, I'll present from here just for ease of all of the items. As the board will remember, at the April 15th Board of Trustees work session, staff did present some options for updating Article 12 of Chapter 2 of the Wellington Municipal Code, which governs liquor licensing. As we noted then, most of Article 12 has not been updated in several years, and staff proposed these revisions in hopes to improve efficiency and provide better service to our businesses and our liquor licensees. Just as a refresher, the board's consensus was to not opt into the State Department of Revenue's 2-year renewal program at this time. Staff will continue to keep an eye on this program and see if it's something that improves its processes a little bit and bring it back at a time when we feel like it might be a little bit more efficient for our businesses. The board also provided consensus that the Board of Trustees should remain serving as the local liquor licensing authority. And the board also provided consensus that the administrative approval for non-controversial and routine items could be granted to the town clerk's office. I know in your packet, there is a red line version of the code changes as well as a clean copy. I do want to call out what those mean simply because there were a lot of red lines in that packet. In section 2-12-10, we just provided a little bit more clarification on the role of the liquor licensing authority. The bulk of your red line is section 2-12-15, which is new. And this is pretty lengthy, but it just spells out the administrative approval for the town clerk for routine and non-controversial items. Those items, as we discussed, would include renewals, manager changes, stakeholder updates, names or mailing address changes, temporary permits, as well as tasting permits. And it also provides administrative approval for special event permits if they have been previously approved and they are without violations or objections from the public. We also updated section 2-12-20, which just provides a little bit more clarification for the special event permitting process. As a reminder, a board hearing would be required for any first-time events in the town or any events with past violations, public objections, or any stakeholder concerns about a previous event. Any other events that have no violations or concerns after following internal review would be administratively approved. I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. Are there any questions or comments from the board on this? Trustee Daly.
I know that we discussed this thoroughly in the working session, but I do want to make note that our town is a town of events. This is what we're known for. This is what brings people together, as mentioned earlier. Any attempts or process that we can do to improve streamlining and making the process quicker and more straightforward for any of those groups that volunteer their time and energy towards bringing people together in our community is something that I think that we need to make those process amendments to accommodate. So I'm very happy that that is part of this consideration tonight, because between that and tastings, knowing some of the groups that are interested in doing tastings, I think it just makes it easier for everyone to participate, and therefore everyone's doing more. And I think that's what community is all about. So I wanted to make that comment.
Thank you, Trustee Daly. Any other questions or comments from Trustee Cannon?
Thank you. I think this is long overdue. A lot of the administrative issues can certainly be handled by our staff here. The only thing that I would want us to reconsider at some point is that 2-year licensing approval. I know what business owners who have liquor license have to go through to get the license, to go through it and renew it and so forth, and giving them a break and land that for 2 years. You know, any changes to the management, any changes to the size is still something that would have to come back through the clerk, administrative, or even to the board. So I'm in favor of the 2-year license.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I may.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to address that because Trustee Cannon, I was just remembering that you weren't able to make the work session. So I just wanted to provide a little bit of clarification on the 2-year renewal process. I as well think it's a great idea. The reason I feel like the board decided not to opt into it is because the DOR themselves had said it's not a very efficient process at this time. If a licensee checks the 2-year renewal process, they still have to submit an application and a check in year 1. And then in year 2, because of how the DOR has to operate their budget, the licensee will also still have to submit paperwork and a check for year 2. So there's a lot of confusion with municipalities who have opted into this process and a lot of frustration from the licensees who think that they have a valid license, but they have not paid or applied for that second year. So for those reasons, staff did recommend not opting in at this time. We do think that the state will improve their processes, and there is a little bit of discussion that this might expand to other dual licenses with the state, and then we would hope that their processes would get a little bit more efficient, and staff is continually looking because we agree it would be a good opportunity for our businesses.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. Ms. Moyer.
I agree about the 2-year licensing when it comes time. Also, if we reevaluate that, I would like for us to consider, when we have the capacity to do so, removing this as a duty of the board and delegating to a more experienced authority.
Thank you, Trustee Moyer. Any other final comments? Okay, I am good with the resolution as presented, but we'll go ahead and open this item for public comment. Seeing none, does the board wish to have any other deliberation on this item? Seeing none, do I hear a motion?
I move to approve ordinance number 09/2025, an ordinance amending Article 12 of Chapter 2 of the Wellington Municipal Code.
Second?
Ms. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Cannon,
Yes.
trustee Daly.
Yes.
Trustee Moyer,
Yes.
trustee Teets,
Yes.
trustee Wiegand,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mason.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, that motion passes.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk.
Thank you.
Okay, we're at the end of the main agenda here. Yes, we're going to roll right into staff reports here. Town Attorney, do you have any reports for us this evening?
No reports at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Sapienza. Administrator Garcia, any reports for us this evening?
So I've got some good news. We have confirmed an installation date for our new AV equipment in our boardroom. So it'll be the week of July 28th through August 1st. So we're moving things around and people around, but we're looking to do a little bit of a facelift and clean things up and get you guys some monitors at your dais and things like that. It's going to be great. Very excited. And another screen over there, hoping to provide more visuals for the public and then for those that sit at the dais for Planning Commission, Board of Trustees, things like that. So you can be able to see what's being presented on the screens at all times. So there'll be a lot of other things happening, but wanted to let you know that's been scheduled. And thank you, Trustee Mason, for your, or Mayor Pro Tem Mason, for your help as we were talking about that. You're helpful.
Thank you, Administrator Garcia, and a really big thanks to Comcast for putting that grant together for us. Yeah, obviously that's going to be, to bring up the audio and visual quality of our meetings. It only serves to help further transparency for the community. So really big thanks to those guys. Staff communications are included in the packet, and we'll roll right into board reports. Trustee Teets.
I have nothing.
Trustee Teets. Trustee Cannon.
I have nothing either.
Thank you, Trustee Cannon. Trustee Moyer.
I mentioned it earlier, but the tabletop exercise was a wonderful learning opportunity that Trustee Daly and I were fortunate enough to take part in, looking at emergency management and working together with LCSO, PSD, the fire department. We spent many hours together, and I feel like our town just continues to plan and improve its procedures and set our community up to be well taken care of in the future.
Thank you, Trustee Moyer. Trustee Wiegand.
No.
You, Trustee Wiegand. Trustee Daly.
For Proclamation, I did want to share the details for Kids to Park Day. It's this Saturday, the 17th. Kids to Park Day, it's going to be at the Wellville Ponds. No. What's that? Yes, please. Actually, I saw something about being rescheduled, so now I'm worried. But that's the actual Kids to Park Day. It's 17th.
Yeah, because excuse me, can you hear me? Because the fishing derby got postponed due to water not being in at Wellville yet. Kids to Park Day will still be this weekend, but we'll be holding it at the library here and at Viewpoint surrounding flag football and the soccer programs here. So we will have events for all ages for Kids to Park Day to celebrate that at those events.
Great. Thank you for that, because I saw the fishing derby was rescheduled and I was very confused. So Kids to Park Day, please come. The other thing, I wanted to second sentiments of Trustee Moyer regarding the tabletop exercise. If anything during those kind of exercises, including the incident command training that I completed, what I found is that Wellington is maybe not quite ready, which is sad, for like a major emergency. And we have probably a lot of work to do for an overhaul of an emergency plan that's super comprehensive, and to update that, which I think is always important in general, but I think there is a major need to do that as soon as possible, as well as consider policy associated with spending money during an emergency. A lot of those kind of things in the exercise that we did, it was moments that the situation we did was there was a wildfire that broke out right by our water treatment facility that then spread and then to the town itself. So our facilities were at risk, our residents were at risk, many buildings were at risk, with all kinds of other possible concerns and risks associated with our water supply. This was a real thing. We have grass fires all the time, all kinds of things like that. Do we have the authority to spend money as necessary to keep people safe? Do we have everything ready to make sure we could prevent as much loss of life as possible? And then what is our duty to make sure that that is a process that runs smoothly and we're well exercised? So it was really great. And I thank our partners, including the school district, the county, and beyond with all of our emergency services. So I think this is something that I would love to come back in many varieties, but also maybe something we should prioritize. It was brought up during strategic planning. I don't know if it made its mark as maybe as it needed to. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. But it was a really great experience. And of course, anybody who has opportunity to do incident command training for elected officials, if you have not done that already, please do that. And I know there'll be more opportunities in the near future. And they also have online courses you can take as well. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Daly. And I do want to thank the trustees as well as staff, LCSO, Fire Department, Larimer County, everybody that was able to participate in that tabletop exercise. Obviously, it's very important for us to do those types of fire drills to ensure our preparedness. So really want to say thank you to you guys all for doing that. As far as reports, I don't have any report this evening, I don't believe. So having no further business, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I now adjourn the regular meeting, time being 7:32 p.m.